You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, the bias almost seems just like politics at this point. We can blatantly see it. We can blatantly tell it's there. And in some cases, a lot like, say, a Joe Scarborough or somebody like that, they don't even try to hide it. Sheryl Swoopes absolutely hates Caitlin Clark. And she gave one of the most nonsensical, absurd, blatantly biased takes you will ever hear about the Indiana Fever as she goes on this gives this big statement about why the Indiana Fever has turned out to be a better team. What has she done? She completely ignored Caitlin Clark as a reason. And she's been called out now. That's right. ESPN's very own Stephen A. Smith is now calling out Sheryl Swoopes and saying, you do realize this makes you look insane. This makes you look absolutely awful. Now, Sheryl Swoopes is considered one of the GOATs of the WNBA. Is there such a thing? Really? I mean, all these people just now started watching, right? And she was a coach at a college. She got in trouble. A bunch of players accused her of abuse. There was a big investigation. And as we know, she can't stand Caitlin Clark. And what's amazing, before we get to the comments about the Indiana Fever, listen to this, because I pulled this up. This is from the same podcast. She's got a WNBA podcast called Queens of the Court. I'm not listening to it. It literally says a WNBA podcast. Hey, Kathy Engelbert, are you good with this level of hate on your number one superstar? The only person in your league that really and truly is moving the needle, and you want some bias on being a fan of Angel Reese? She literally comes out and says, well, you have to hear what she says about Angel Reese.
Before I get into that, I am going to say this. Shout out to Angel Reese, even in a loss. Listen, 20 boards.
It's crazy.
20 boards. Say what you want to say about how she's getting all these rebounds. Can get 20 rebounds. I don't care if you're rebounding your own. But the thing is with Angel just has a knack for the basketball. Angel really is crazy. Just going to go get the basketball. And she is constantly giving her team more possessions. And I'm going to say this, Spoon. I should text her, but I'm going to say it right now. I needed her to let her stay in the game to get 20 points. She had 19. I just need.
They blatantly come out and say on this podcast, I need the coach to let Angel Reese stay in the game to stat pad, to blatantly just try to get the stats. I mean, if this doesn't tell you all you need to know about the bias here, wow. So that brings us over here to Stephen A. Smith. Now he's going to go off and he's going to show you what it is that Sheryl Swoopes says in regards to the Indiana Fever.
Here's what Sheryl Swoopes had to say. Look at this quote here. I think the Olympic break really helped Indiana. I'm going to shout out to Lexi Hull. I'm a big Lexi Hull fan. Lexi Hull shot the leather off the ball in their game against Seattle. Kelsey Mitchell is just stroking. She's just shooting the basketball. Aaliyah Boston, almost a triple-double. If Indiana continues to play the way they're playing like this, they too are going to move up in the standings, end quote. So no, Caitlin Clark. Sheryl Swoopes. No, Caitlin Clark. Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? You have any idea how that serves to stain any kind of critique of Caitlin Clark, because that gives fodder to those who believe she's being hated on and ostracized to some degree? Do you realize that, Sheryl Swoopes, you're insane to do that? Let me tell you why you're insane to do that. Because Sheryl Swoopes, you're one of the greatest players ever. in the history of basketball. That's why. See, you won a championship in college at Texas Tech. You won 3 Olympic gold medals. You won 4 WNBA championships. You know basketball. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball. There is no way in hell you just accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know that. Stop it. And then y'all wonder.
And that's where I'll stop it. But guys, you get the point. He's not wrong. I mean, the level of hate, that's heavyweight championship hate from Sheryl Swoopes. That's a WNBA podcast. Kathy Engelbert's allowing this kind of hate to go on what's described as a WNBA podcast with the official logo and shit on there from one of their ex-players, supposed to be one of the greatest of all time, who just blatantly ignores Caitlin Clark on purpose. Like Stephen A. says, you're doing that on purpose. You're literally, and it makes you look like a lunatic. A lunatic. Not only that, but your podcast, and I don't even know which one was saying it for sure. It doesn't matter. The fact that either one of you was like, hey, they should have left Angel Reese in the game so she could stat pad. Was that the game that she lost by 20? Oh, it's amazing. This is the perfect example of what I keep talking about when it comes to media bias and the Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year bogus, non-existent Rookie of the Year chase. There's a blatant agenda. Now, do I think they're going to have to start backing off of it? Yeah, because it's downright laughable now. It's downright laughable now. Caitlin Clark has shut them down in a month on the Rookie of the Year front, where our attention is over at the MVP now. Seriously. That's unbelievable. Yeah, Sheryl Swoopes. Look, I'm going to keep it real here. And do I think that mentioning Lexi Hull in the way she did is calculated? Yeah. Yeah, because it absolves her of people being able to say this is about skin color, even though I believe it's absolutely about skin color. Both the praise of Angel Reese and the hate of Caitlin Clark. I think that's absolutely a thing. And if you go out there and see some of the causes that Sheryl Swoopes has been involved with, you're like, oh, okay, I got you. You hate the straight white girl. Oh, but I praise Lexi Hull to the T, so that gets me out of that. Nah, we're not dumb. We can see through that bullshit. Good on Stephen A. Look, I rarely agree with Stephen A. Smith these days. Well, I'd say that. He's getting a lot more right. Stephen A. can give some very lucid takes on his podcast. It's when he gets on ESPN that that ESPN agenda gets a hold of him, I think. This podcast is good. And to his credit, he's praised Caitlin Clark all year long. He hadn't let that ESPN Angel Reese anti-white bias to creep in, believe it or not. Shocking, I know. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.